Welcome to the debate. Today, we are looking at a single moment, just a few seconds, caught on camera at a training ground in Madrid that might tell us everything we need to know about leadership and crisis management at a super club. We're talking, of course, about that leaked chat between Real Madrid's Vini Jr. and the new manager, Álvaro Arbeloa.
It's such a rare moment, isn't it? I mean, we get the press conferences, the polished Hala Madrid sound bites, but this was raw. Picked up by El Chiringuito, and it lands right when the Santiago Bernabéu is, let's just say it's a very tense place to be.
Precisely. And we have to set the stage here, because the context is everything. It's January 2026. Xabi Alonso is gone. The press is using words like instability, which at Real Madrid is basically a code word for a full-blown disaster. They were just eliminated from the Copa del Rey by Albacete.
Albacete. I mean, that's the kind of result that gets you fired before you even leave the stadium. And then you add the Supercopa loss to Barcelona on top of that. So, yeah, even though they managed a 2-0 win over Levante, the mood was heavy. You could feel it.
Heavy is a good word for it. Vini Jr. is being booed by his own supporters during the warm-ups. Arbeloa, a legend as a player, but, a rookie manager at this level, is trying to find his footing. And into that void, we get this conversation. So, the question we have to tackle is this. Does this moment, where Vini demands fines for lateness and Arbeloa basically hands him the keys, does that represent a necessary return to standards? Or, and I suspect this is where you're leaning, is it just a bit of theater that risks making a bad situation even worse?
You know me. I see this and I start to wonder if we're mixing up being a policeman with being a leader. But go on, you first. Why do you think this is some kind of turning point? How does fining someone for being late fix a loss to Albacete?
Because in a moment of total chaos, ambiguity is your worst enemy. Look at the exchange itself. Vinny's the one who starts it. He says, for me, a fine is better. This isn't a top-down order from a manager trying to look tough. This is your captain, your star player, saying, hey, standards have slipped here. And Arbeloa's response, you are the captain, we will fine people, that's the key. He's not being weak. He's empowering his leader. After the mess of Alonso's exit and frankly, the humiliation against Albacete, this is the exact kind of cobranza interna, that internal demand that a club like Real Madrid needs to save its season.
Cobranza interna is a nice term, but let's be real for a second. This is a team that is one single point behind Barcelona in the league. One. They're second with 48 points. This isn't a relegation battle. My problem is that discipline, cracking down on tardiness, it often feels like the first thing a management team does when they don't have the tactical answers. It's a distraction. You find a player 5,000 euros, which is what, dinner for them, to show the cameras you're getting tough, while the real problems, the things that got them knocked out by Albacete, they just go completely ignored.
I think you're creating a false separation there. You're separating discipline from performance when at a club like Madrid, they are the same thing. You bring up the Albacete loss. A result like that isn't just a tactical failure. Real Madrid's B team should have enough talent to beat Albacete. That loss comes from a dip in intensity, a lack of focus, entitlement. When Vini says a fine is better, he's sending a signal that the relaxed atmosphere in that dressing room is over. He's trying to jolt the system back to life.
Okay, but is it a relaxed atmosphere or is it a high-pressure one? Let's look at the guy who's supposed to be enforcing this. Vini Jr. is in a really delicate place with the fans right now. We can't just brush past that Levante game. He was getting whistled from the second he stepped onto the pitch. And now the manager's going to make him the bad cop over training times? I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. It shifts the focus away from football, and it could isolate Vini at the very moment he needs his teammates to have his back.
I understand that view, but I see the bad cop dynamic completely differently. Arbeloa is new. Yes, he's in a tough spot. But by instantly agreeing with Vini, you are the captain, he's not showing weakness. He's forging an alliance. If the manager and the captain are perfectly aligned on discipline, there's no room for anyone else to complain. If Arbeloa did this on his own, yeah, he'd be the new teacher nobody listens to. But with Vini demanding it and Arbeloa backing him, it becomes the team policing itself. That is how you close a 1-point gap with Barcelona. not with hugs, but with rigor.
Sorry, I just don't buy that. I really don't. Listening to that audio, it sounded like he was just giving in. A new manager, especially one following a tactical giant like Xabi Alonso, he needs to stamp his own authority on the team. When your star player says, "We should find people," and the manager's immediate response is, "Okay, whatever you say, you're the captain," it muddies the waters. It makes you ask, okay, who's actually in charge here? Arbeloa or Vini?
Well, that's the classic question at Real Madrid, isn't it? But I'd argue Arbeloa is playing this beautifully. He lived this culture as a player. He knows you can't just rule that dressing room with an iron fist from the manager's office. You need your leaders on the inside to buy in. He's simply using Vini's own ambition to lead.
At what cost, though? I mean, this brings us right back to the central problem of Vini's relationship with the squad versus his relationship with the fans.
Let's get into that.
Okay, just picture the scene in the locker room. You have your star player, your supposed leader, and he's getting booed by his own fans. Now imagine you're his teammate. You see this happening? Then you show up for training the next morning, and he's the guy pointing at his watch, demanding your money because you were, 90 seconds late? It creates a division. A captain is supposed to be a unifier. This turns him into a tax collector. It risks breeding resentment right when they need to come together for a huge Champions League match.
You have to ask why the fans are booing. Let's be honest. They're not booing Vini because they suddenly dislike him as a person. They're booing because the standard is winning everything, and the team just lost 2 chances at a trophy in like a week. Fans, especially Madrid fans, respect professionalism above all else. When the story gets out, and it has, that Vini is the one pushing for higher standards, that he's the one demanding punctuality, that completely flips the script. It shows he cares. It shows he's taking ownership of the crisis. He's effectively saying, this stops with me.
I think you're giving the Bernabéu crowd a little too much credit for being rational. They see instability. They see a team that's lost its way after Alonso. A story about fines for being late just feels small. It feels like shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. The team loses to Albacete, and the solution is to worry about watches. It seems like a total misdirection. If they go out and play poorly against Monaco on Tuesday, nobody's going to say, but at least they were on time for the team meeting.
I'm not convinced, because that assumes discipline is some separate, isolated thing. The Champions League is decided by tiny details, by millimeters, by a split second of concentration. If a player is sloppy about their timekeeping, they're going to be sloppy with their marking. It's all part of the same mindset. Arbeloa knows this. He's trying to shock the system back into shape before that Monaco game. He needs every player to feel that every action has a consequence.
Or he creates a culture of fear.
Fear keeps you focused.
Not always. Not in a creative sport. The magic of Real Madrid has so often been about individual brilliance, that sort of laissez-faire leadership Ancelotti was a master of. This super strict, fine-heavy approach feels like a panic move. It feels like Arbeloa doesn't have the tactical fixes, so he's just falling back on the old disciplinarian cliché to look like he's doing something. And he's using Vini as a human shield. If the other players get upset, they get upset with Vini, not him. It's smart politics for Arbeloa, maybe, but it's terrible for the team.
I think that's a bit unfair to Arbeloa. He walked into this mess. He didn't create it. He sees a squad that maybe got a little too comfortable under the old system. When he says, we will find people, he's drawing a clear line. And by immediately tying it to Vini, you are the captain, he makes sure the players can't just write it off as the new guy's rules. They have to look their captain in the eye. That's good management. It forces Vini to grow into that leadership role like a Ramos or a Hierro before him.
But Ramos and Hierro had years of credit in the bank. They had the full support of the stadium. Vini is being booed. The timing is what kills me here. You don't start a crackdown when the ground beneath you was already shaking. You steady the ship first. And let's look at the reality again. They are 1 point behind Barcelona. 1. The crisis is about the cup competitions, sure, but the league is right there for the taking. Why introduce all this negativity now?
Because they just lost to Albacete. I have to keep coming back to that. You can't respond to a loss like that with positive reinforcement. It's an insult to the crest on the shirt. The crisis is real because the standard is perfection. Being 1 point behind is not good enough. Vini gets that. That's why he says a fine is better. He wants it to hurt. He's trying to replace Alonso's tactical structure with an emotional one, a structure of accountability.
That's an interesting way to put it, but I wonder if Vini's just projecting his own pressure. He's feeling the heat from the fans. Maybe he thinks if he can control the small things, the times, the rules, he can control the chaos on the pitch. But you can't. Football doesn't work that way. And I worry this whole thing is going to blow up in their faces if the results don't turn around immediately. If they struggle against Villarreal on Saturday, this whole iron fist thing is just going to look absurd.
And I'd say the opposite. If they do beat Monaco, if they do overtake Barcelona, we'll all look back at this leaked audio as the exact moment things changed. We'll say this is when Vini truly became the captain, and this is when Arbeloa proved he could handle the job.
Or the moment Arbeloa gave up his own authority. That whole player power thing is a real danger. If the other senior players think Arbeloa is just Vini's puppet, his credibility is shot. And if they start to resent Vini for taking their money, you've created a huge crack right down the middle of your dressing room.
But that's where I disagree with you on what a captain is at Real Madrid. The captain is the keeper of the flame. Managers come and go. Benitez, Lopetegui, Solari, they're temporary. The captaincy is the constant. Arbeloa is trying to build a structure that will outlast this crisis by making Vini the true guardian of the club's standards.
It's a massive gamble. You're betting Vini can handle being booed by the fans and being resented by his teammates all at the same time. That's a heavy, heavy weight to carry.
He wanted the armband. He asked for the weight. For me, a fine is better. Now he carries it.
Well, we'll see soon enough. Monaco on Tuesday. That's the real test.
Exactly. All this talk, all this debate. It'll be settled on the pitch.
I just worry that fear, like you said, can also make you rigid. Monaco is a fast team. If Madrid plays like they're afraid to make a mistake, they're in for a long night.
I don't think Vini Jr. is capable of playing afraid. He plays with emotion, with fire, and he's just trying to light that same fire under everyone else. Albacete was the slap. The fines are the cold water. It's time to wake up.
I hope you're right. I really do. But I still see a manager who seems to be improvising. You are the captain. We will find people. It was so fast, it felt like he was just happy someone else had an idea.
Or it was decisive. He saw a solution and he took it. No committees, no meetings, just done. That's also a form of leadership.
So, we're back to where we started. Okay. In summary then, we've got a Real Madrid team at a crossroads, wounded but still very much in the fight. And their plan seems to be a crackdown on discipline led from within by the captain.
Right. My view is that this is Vini Jr. stepping up, taking on the responsibility of leadership, and Arbeloa being smart enough to empower him. It's about restoring the professional standards that define Real Madrid and ending this so-called instability.
And my position remains that this is a risky, performative measure. It's using punishment to try and solve deeper tactical issues. And it puts an unfair burden on a player who's already under immense pressure from the fans. It risks division when they desperately need unity. The true test isn't going to be in the players' bank accounts.
It's the principle, yes.
Principles are one thing, but points on the board are another. The real verdict will come against Monaco and Villarreal. If they win, this was a masterstroke. If they don't, it was a distraction.
On that, we absolutely agree. The scoreboard will have the final say. We'll be watching on Tuesday to see how this new doctrine translates onto the pitch.
Indeed. And I do hope, for Vini's own sake, that the Bernabéu crowd sees the effort he's making here.
Thank you for listening to our breakdown of the power dynamics inside Real Madrid. It's a true study in leadership under pressure.
A pleasure. So much more to watch as the season plays out.
Until next time.